Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're doing something new, and I'm excited about it. Bryan recommends. You guys have given me a ton of really good recommendations over this last, we're coming up on like 8 or 9 months now, right? So it's time that I gave you guys some recommendations. The first one we're going to look at is from a group called I Am Ghost, off their concept album Lover's Requiem. Now, the album is about a vampire and an angel who fall in love and all of the issues that go with one of God's creatures or God's beings falling in love with a creature of the night. And this is going to be the last track called Beyond the Hourglass. This is where the vampire and angel come before God and are judged on what they've done throughout the story of the album. And it features, the reason I pick is because it features almost every unique element I would talk about with the band. If I was to discuss the band, they are this and this and this, and they utilize this compositional concept and stuff like that. And I think this just encompasses every element that I would kind of attribute to them as a characteristic of their work. Puts it into one song and just it's a phenomenal song, anyways. So yeah, let's get into this, and we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. Also, I suppose it helps if I actually bring that up. All right, let's go.
Soon the stage enacts the fallen stars used in pictures in this page of our beating hearts. I made peace with God.
So yeah, they do have two singers, a male and a female, and the female also plays violin, and that'll pop up soon too.
Soon the stage enacts the fallen stars. Save us from all the evil that we do. Tonight we're ghosts that fallen down but never gave up. Create what was left behind. It was you.
Their harmonies are divine. And you'll also notice in this chorus, the music is completely different from the first time we heard this chorus.
Can you remember, like close to me, my breathing was
Those little raindrop violin plucks, real nice ornamentation to the section.
feel your touch. Tonight we sit and remember. Soon the stage enacts the fallen stars. Using pictures in this page of our beating heart.
All right. I really hope you guys like that. There is a lot of really cool things going on in there. First of all, like I said, their harmonies are just divine. Some of their other songs, they do more, duet work. This one I feel is a little, kind of leaning towards the male vocalist. He is the primary, but this one I think does lean towards his side a little bit. But again, I also think the vampire is more of the lead character in the concept album, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But just the way that they work together and when they harmonize, their voices just link. Like, I don't know. I think their voices were meant to be sung together. It's just so good. Um, then you have, like I said, the first chorus and the second chorus have totally different guitar parts and drum parts to them. The first time is driving. There's a constant bass kick on like every downbeat, I think it is. Um, and there's no violin. The guitar is kind of strumming chords with the drum. The second time the chorus comes in, though, it's a lot more laid back. The notes are held out in the guitar. The drum is playing half as quickly. There's a violin over all of it, even though it still has that same energy, the same drive, the same vocal emotion. All that is in there. They just kind of changed the entire feel of that section, which I think is important because that section is about. Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, so they say they're basically in front of the judge, pleading their case. He says, "Save us from the evil we do. Tonight we're ghosts. I've fallen down, but never give up. Create what was left behind. It was you." And I think it's important that the chorus music changes because it's basically like stating your case, and then at the end of your at the end you reiterate your thesis basically, and that's their way of doing it. It's the same words with a different feel. Kind of like that. I really like how they changed that up. Um, the other part that really stands out to me is the guitar and violin duet. And I see that as being the two characters. First, they're going back and forth, sort of like a little battle, and then they come together and they're playing the same part, and that is sort of like their souls, coming together. And I just really like how that plays out. First of all, it is a phenomenal section on its own, but I really like the thematic elements of it. And the finale in the Latin. Latin actually crops up quite a few times in this album. The entire opening track is in Latin. And then there is a middle track called the denouement, which, if you are familiar with story pacing, that is sort of the point, the high point, sort of the rising climax, the rising action, sort of the point right around the resolution. So it makes sense to put that in the middle, and it's sort of a choir restatement of what's happened so far. It harkens back to a lot of Greek tragedies with their choir sort of being a sort of narrator. I don't know if Latin theater. I am not well versed in it because I mentioned Greek, but they're using Latin, so they put a lot of research into this. I'd wager they knew what they were doing, but yeah. I mean, it's Latin sounds cool, anyways. But anyways, the song ends with the choir saying, "A day of wrath that day," which is the day of judgment on these two people in front of God. Weeping shall rise again from the embers, so the vampire is burned. And the angel will cry. What trembles there will be the guilty man to be judged. Spare him. So obviously he's not spared, but there's definitely weeping and pleading for that. And then of course it's repeated over and over, like four times I think on that outro. So definitely like a pleading, begging kind of deal. Just a phenomenal song, phenomenal musicianship. I really love a lot of the ways that the composition works thematically into the lyrics and the story of the album and of the song. And it's just it is good. It is good. I think there's so little rock music that has duets. This entire album is a duet. Um, there are a couple of songs that favor one vocalist over the other, but for the most part, all of them have both, at least in some parts of the songs. And it's just, like I said, I love the way their voices work together, so I do not complain about that at all. But again, I just wish there was more duets in rock, especially male and female. I really like the way that the range differences work, especially when you get something like a tenor and a soprano. Just it's not a huge difference. You're not getting two octave jumps between their notes or anything like that. But there's just enough difference in the timbre and the range that I don't know. It just always sounds really good to me. And more violins. I love strings. I've mentioned that before. I think it's because I started on trumpet a lot. I've noticed a lot of people really love the sounds of instruments that they don't play. A lot of people who I know who have played brass instruments love the way woodwinds and strings sound. A lot of the people who play string instruments love the way that brass sounds. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just like the familiarity. You know what your instrument and your instrument family sounds like, so everything else sounds unique or cooler or different. I don't know. But yeah, I just love strings. Strings sound awesome. So, yep, that is I Am Ghost. Uh, Beyond the Hourglass from the Lover's Requiem album. Let me know what you guys thought down in there in the comments. If you enjoyed this, I will say the rest of their songs are not as progressive. This one had like 5 or 6 sections to it. Um, they are more or less like a punk rock, emo, post hardcore kind of thing going on. Um, and their second album and their EP were their EP was a lot like this. Their second album was it was okay, but the violinist left, so it took my strings and my harmonies, which is what I really love about this band. Um, but yes, definitely look into this album. Like I said, the rest of the songs aren't going to be as progressive as this one, but a lot of those elements are, crop up. The stories there, I really like the way that they interweave a lot of the musical concepts and they create these little leitmotifs to go with the characters. Kind of gives them some instrumentation. And, if nothing else, check out the opening track just to listen to their Latin, the opening choir. It's a phenomenal way to start an album. It's a phenomenal way to start a band, and I will tell you, the first time I heard that, I was hooked. Like these guys learned Latin to write to write the lyrics and then learn to sing them. And from what I understand, both singers are the only people in the choir. Like they double and triple track themselves. So all the vocal work is theirs, from what I understand. Just phenomenal work all around. So yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Right above that, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. All three of those things help out the channel. There's a ton of links in the description box if you're interested. We got Patreon, PayPal, Twitter, links to my blocked videos. Just head in there and see if anything interests you. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC with another of my recommendations, which, again, I hope you enjoy. I understand not everything is going to be enjoyed by everybody. A lot of this community seems to be around the heavier metal stuff and prog. That seems to be like the general makeup of the community, based on recommendations. Um, and I'm not having any of that this week. We got possibly some jazz. I do want to get some jazz in here. I just really got to figure out the song. We got some neoclassical. We had this like emo rock thing. We got some interesting things coming up that doesn't really get requested much on this channel. So stick around. Maybe you'll find something that you didn't know you've enjoyed. And if you walk away at the end of the week not really wanting to get any of these people's work, that's fine too. At least you listen to it, and you know, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but now you know. You know, you've listened to it. You're like, yeah, yeah, it was good. Not really for me. So, all right, yeah, like I'll be back tomorrow with more of this stuff. Until then, you guys stay safe out there and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening.